Hi, I'm CP, you're on Bespoke Unit, and in this video I'm reviewing Lillet Blanc. So first of all, before we continue, let's talk a little bit about Lillet and its background. Lillet used to be, and is still often considered, to be part of the Quinquina aromatic wine family. Quinquina was invented in the mid-19th century as France's answer to the Gin Tonic. Quinine is one of the main ingredients in Quinquina, and it is a known anti-malarial treatment. And it was issued or given to troops that were serving abroad in tropical areas and as Northern Africa as well. When officers returned from these countries back into France, they'd often order a quinine in a cafe, and it became very, very popular. It became a well-known fortified wine that was served chilled, sometimes in a glass, sometimes it was served with ice, and it was quite a popular apéritif. One of the most well-known and original versions is Dubonnet, which is actually now produced in America as well, since it wasn't available during the Second World War due to the occupation. So a second production facility was established over there. If you're in the USA, you're likely going to be drinking American Dubonnet, whereas in France we drink the French stuff. Lillet is a little bit different. Lillet wasn't ever marketed as a medicinal drink. Lillet was actually invented by two brothers, Paul and Raymond Lillet, that were inspired by this monk, Father Kierman, who during the 19th century travelled around Brazil. Paul and Raymond were based in Bordeaux, and when they heard about his writings, he used to produce his own medicinal drinks, they were inspired to create their own. So being in Bordeaux, which was a very handy geographical area for trade and for production, because you had the herbs and spices coming in from the Caribbean, and then you had the wine growing area, and then you could ship it easily or transport it easily to Paris, they began producing this aromatized wine themselves. In those days it was known as Quinine, and it soon became synonymous with the Roaring Twenties. It was a very popular cocktail ingredient, and it was often used for a variety of different concoctions. One of the most famous ones would be James Bond's original Vesper, which was in Ian Fleming's first book, Casino Royale, and also in the film, which is a bit of an anachronism because Quinine Lillet actually changed in 1985 when it was acquired by a new owner. So if I recall, a Vesper was 3-part gin, 1 part vodka, and half a Quinine Lillet, shaken over ice and then served with a lemon twist. In fact, Ian Fleming just made it up, and when he actually did try it, he thought it was disgusting, but it became a legend. So in 1985, Lillet was acquired by Bruno Bory, and it was decided that it would be completely reformulated to respond to dwindling sales in the American market. They removed the quinine, which is a very bitter ingredient, and they transformed it in basically a very sweet aromatized wine. Consequently, Quinine Lillet was no more, and there was no way to reproduce the true, authentic Vesper or Corpse Reviver No. 2. Nevertheless, since then there have been other Quinquinas, white Quinquinas specifically, that have become known in the market, which include things like Cap Mate, which is a Corsican one, or even Italian Americano, which can be used to give that keen flavour and have a very similar flavour profile, and it'll be the closest thing you'll have to an authentic Vesper or Corpse Reviver No. 2. Anyway, history lesson over, let's give this a try. As you can see, first of all, the bottle is ice cold. I've had it in the freezer. You're supposed to drink it very, very cold, and so it's got a bit of condensation on it. I love the bottle design, very classic, very vintage, very French. So let's top up my glass. So typically, Lillet will be in a cocktail, but you can drink it neat. It's a great aperitif. I quite like it on its own, to be honest. Although I do prefer the bitterer ones, like I like beer, which is a red one, and I also like Cap Mate. But you can head to our Quinquina guide in the link below, and you can see some of the best brands and some of my favourites as well. And you can read all about Quinquina and its history. So here we have looks basically like a Chardonnay or a Chablis, a little bit darker, mind you, but it gives off the same kind of robe as a white wine. A little bit hazy, very sweet on the nose, very, very sweet. Got a little bit of white flower in there. apricots, peaches, exotic fruits. Not overly complex, but then again. And then let's have the palate. So the first thing I get is very reminiscent of a Sauternes white wine. So it is produced very, the base wine is very similar in terms of production. Can't remember the exact grapes that they use, but it is in the Quinquina guide, which is in the link below. You can learn all about that. So it's very reminiscent of a Sauternes, which is a white dessert wine. Well, sometimes used for desserts, but it can also be used in an entree, and it goes very, very, very nicely with foie gras. Really, you've got to try that pairing. Wow, it is insane. I mean, that is Christmas for me. Literally, I have it every Christmas. And oysters, not so bad with oysters either. So, you have this kind of sweetness. You have this kind of moelleux, very sugary, very syrupy flavour. And then you have notes of honey. Lots of honey in there. Some citrus. But not sour, it's not at all tart, it is very sweet. This thing is loaded with sugar. And you have a little bit, so I'd say, I wouldn't say oranges, I wouldn't say lime. Maybe a little bit of orange, but mostly lemon, but it's so sweet. And that's about it, really. It's a very sweet, fortified white wine, easy drinking, nice little aperitif. I would much prefer it with quinine in there, give it that little bit of bitterness. You can get, there's like a special reserve version of Lillet that exists that's in the market. It's a limited edition, but you can still get it quite easily. I think Drizzly and other retailers, there's a way to get it through them. That links below, by the way, to Lillet, so you can have a look for yourselves. But still, on its own, I mean, it's very pleasant to drink like this. You know, I'd enjoy it as aperitif, but I keep having more. I'm just getting drunk on camera, really. But it's certainly, definitely one of those cocktail ingredients that you absolutely must have. I think it's a great alternative to vermouth in some instances. There is actually a lot of similarities between this and maybe a martini blanco, but martinis tend to be a little bit drier. A vermouth, you can get some very sweet vermouths, but generally they tend to be drier than this. This is extremely sweet. And I think that's what Lillet were trying to do, was present themselves as a real alternative to martini, who they saw was becoming the real center stage of the cocktail scene. Which is a shame, because I think if they stuck to their guns, they would have been able to differentiate themselves even more and have this own identity of being able to offer this bitter flavour, which today, again, hindsight is 2020, but today would have been probably much more appreciated. So that's all for me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to drink a couple more glasses while I write up my notes, but until then, first of all, head to our Quinquina guide, which is in the link in the description below. You'll learn all about Quinquina, its history, the best cocktails, and the best Quinquina to buy, as well as alternatives to alternatives to Lillet Blanc. And then also check out bespokeunit.com. We have tons of alcoholic spirits guides, whiskey, cigars, and a variety of other men's lifestyle subjects. You can also have a search on our YouTube channel for other things, but don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.